I finally got my hands on the Raspberry Pi 5, and I'm gonna be giving you my honest review on this little single board computer. Before we get started, I'm gonna be explaining the parts of the Raspberry Pi and what we're gonna be doing in this video. So let's deep dive in. So I'm gonna be talking about the parts of the Raspberry Pi. So the first part we have is a very important part, and it is the GPIO pins that we are gonna be using to connect our sensors, LEDs and the other stuff. Next, we have the IO, which is the two USB 2.0 ports and the two USB 3.0 ports. And then we also have the Ethernet. We also have a USB-C power input, which take about 27 watts, and we have two micro HDMI cables, inputs, which do dual 4K for up to 60 frames per second. So yeah, this is what we're gonna be working with for the entire video. Let's move on. So here are some things that we're gonna be doing in this video. First, we're gonna set up the Raspberry Pi. Then we're gonna be making my first circuit, and then we're gonna do some coding. So let us look at what the Raspberry Pi has. It finally has a power button as requested by the community for many years. It has a real-time clock, but you require an external battery which you can purchase from the Raspberry Pi website. This year's Raspberry Pi 5 is running on a 64-bit quad-core ARM Cortex-A76 processor, which clocks in at 2.4 GHz. And on paper, Raspberry Pi claims it's a 2 to 3 times increase in CPU performance from last year. The model I have right now is it's a 8 GB RAM model, and that's pretty much it. Currently, I have deassembled the Pi, and as you can see on the inside, it's very green, and it's a really compact computer. And as you can see, the case, official Raspberry Pi case, includes a fan, which is good because you need to protect your Raspberry Pi from overheating. On the side, we can see the red power button, which is illuminated. And if I turn it on, which is not ideal to do it while open because you may get electrocuted, don't do this at home, but it turns green, and the light starts blinking, which indicates it basically indicates action or data transfers that's going on. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the board. You can see some more in-depth views from the inside. I'm gonna be fast forwarding this part. So if you want, you can get this 27-watt power supply from Raspberry Pi. Uh, it's optional, but it's recommended to avoid damage to your Raspberry Pi. I got it just in case, and I also like the white color, so basically what I'm doing here is going to the official Raspberry Pi website to download the official Raspberry Pi imager so that I can flash the SD card with Raspbian OS or Raspberry Pi OS, and then I'm gonna write some code on the Raspberry Pi directly and then I'm gonna execute the code. This is required because the Raspberry Pi does not ship with an OS, and if you would ask me, I would recommend 32 gigabytes of SD card space for this because Raspberry Pi OS is a pretty big OS. I'm gonna be fast forwarding this process because it's really time consuming, so enjoy. I have done flashing the Raspberry Pi and I've turned it on, and as you can see, the fan was turned on, the LED light is green, and we are greeted by a welcome screen. Raspberry Pi OS is a Linux based operating system, so it's pretty snappy, and also you're not only limited to Raspberry Pi OS, the Raspberry Pi Imager has many other pieces of software that you can use to uh, change the operating system in your Raspberry Pi to do different things. Like we have Recalbox, which can turn your Raspberry Pi into an emulator. A video about that may be coming up soon. So I've noticed one thing, even though my latest video was in 4K, you can go check right now, the Raspberry Pi does not let me go above 1080p, even though this monitor is 4K, I mean 2K, but it does not just let me go to 4K for some reason, so it's just gonna be a video test. It was intended to be a 4K video test, but that did not work out. So anyway, the video is playing pretty smooth. I would say it's fine for normal watch use, and it should be good for daily use and stuff. So I'm gonna be making my first circuit on a breadboard. So we're gonna be using some wires, a yellow one and a blue one specifically. These are male to male jumper wires. Then I'm gonna be using a green LED, and then I'm gonna also be using a 1 kilo ohm resistor, and that's pretty much it. That's the first basic circuit we're gonna make, and I'm very excited for this, so let's get started. Now I'm not gonna bore you with the wiring and stuff again, so I'm gonna also fast forward this part. Okay, so here is the circuit we made. It's a pretty basic circuit, and I think it's great to get us started with our first circuit. So let's get into the programming. So first, I would power the Raspberry Pi, which is by plugging in the power cable, and it should automatically light up and turn on. So let's give it a few seconds. As you see, the light turns green, which indicates that it turns on, and in a few moments we should see the monitor turn on and show us the Raspberry Pi welcome screen, as we see right now. I'm gonna show you the code. The code is pretty simple. It just imports the GPI 0 library, and since RPI is not supported from Pi 4 because this is using a new GPIO chip, I will be having to use GPI 0 because I have no other option. So here basically I'm importing GPI 0, then I'm importing time, and then the GPI of the LED is 17, and then I set a simple loop statement, which is it turns it on and off and it starts blinking. It's pretty simple, and you can also try it at home if you have a Raspberry Pi. we wrote the code correctly, the LED should start blinking now. And as you can see, it is blinking, and that proves that this is a successful piece of code. Go ahead, give this a try, and let me know how it goes. Alright, this might be it for my video. So thank you for watching, and please subscribe.